It's been a long road since the original kicker christened that first pickup truck. It kicked off a car audio renaissance, and upgrading your music in a vehicle was a requirement. America's music machines became living loud over your passion, your emotion, your existence. Outdoors or on the open road, your sound is Kicker.
We're here at the Denso NHRA 4Y Nationals here in Las Vegas. Man, we have got two-time funny car, top fuel champion, Cruz Pedregon here, icon of the sport. Dude, we just so appreciate you taking the time. But I got to ask you, so we know in 1986 you were driving go-karts, and a year later you're in a dragster. What made that change of going from wanting to do, track racing to running down straight track racing?
I started out with something I could afford, so there was a little dirt track, or a few dirt track races in Southern California that I started racing. Like I said, I could afford it. They're still expensive, but I always had my eye on drag racing. So I caught the eye of an owner that had a low budget team, started out very humble beginnings. I basically worked for food. I worked to race for nothing. So, but I started out, you couldn't have started out further down the ladder than I did, but I'm glad I did because I was able to parlay that into driving for a bigger team through the years, won a championship, and here we are. I own my own team. I've been in business for like 15 years now, or 20 years on my own with Snap-on and Kicker and all the great sponsors. So, very exciting time.
Cruz, we know you're super passionate about what you do. We're curious, what drives you, what refuels you off the track when you're at home?
Well, I have a daughter now, so it's, I just love my daughter. She's going on 8 years old, so, priorities change a little bit, but I've always had this passion for racing, so much so that that's all I would do morning, noon, and night. I would think about it when I got up. I, go to bed at night. Racing was my entire life, and it still is, but I share a little bit of that during the off time with my daughter Raya and my girlfriend Melissa. So, it's one of those things where the desire to perform at this level and to do it, I feel like I have my best years ahead of me. I have so much more experience than I did when I started out that I want to put that to good use. So here we are.
That's awesome. Well, man, I tell you, Kicker is super proud to be associated with you. We're blessed to be part of the team and helping out. And hey, now that we've got this killer PA system back here jamming the pits, what's that mean for you and your team and your guests and everybody in your organization?
Well, having a brand like Kicker, number one, is an honor for us. Really, I know it's a brand that goes way back. Heck, we've all heard of them. So for them to be, you guys support us like you do is really an honor for us. but we want to do our part on the racetrack and you know, and put your guys' name out there. But as far as what you guys just created for us was really cool. I didn't have any idea the quality of sound with all the noise, all the race cars starting, all the voices and all the generators running, that we could still hear loud and clear the PA system. So thanks to Kicker, great product, you know, and we have a lot of Snap-on guests that are invited to come out here as part of the customer service to say thank you to their Snap-on customers for buying the tools. So it's a great opportunity for us to speak to them but not have to yell. So they appreciate it. Like I say, the brand speaks for itself. It's quality. So you know, we're tickled to have them.
Well, thank you so much, man. Look, well, you know, so look, after what, 32 some years of blasting down the track, pulling 4Gs, what keeps you pushing to do this, man?
You know, it's amazing because you never get used to these cars. Like, my eyes still burn like everybody else. They're still loud, but they accelerate. Every run is like a new run. You never know what they're going to do, but I feel like I have a little bit less stress because I kind of know what the car is supposed to do and what it feels like to make a good run. So, like I said, as a driver, yeah, I've got a few miles on me, but I think in this sport, you can still be a little older and still be able to perform at a high level. So that's what I look at as you know, I don't feel like I'm a deficient guy in this driver's seat. If anything, I hope I can bring something to it. But the day's going to come, hey, I'm an owner and I have a fast car. The day's going to come where, hey, I'm going to want to look at a younger driver and somebody, you know, to replace me so I can maintain ownership and maybe tune that guy into a championship or gal, whoever. So, but it's a business. I look at it as a business. It has to make sense down the road, but I'm not looking, I'd say another 4 or 5 years in this seat, I'm good.
Hey, I know you're running tight on time. You got a last qualifying run. Again, we're blessed to be with you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
We love you, brother.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
See you.
Flash! This just in. Extra low frequencies detected emanating from the heavens. Saucer-shaped objects confirmed all over the world. Unidentified flying K saucer spotted delivering Kicker's amazing new Comp Q super woofer. Built for precision, built for abuse, built for the future and benefit of mankind. Kicker's new Comp Q woofer leaves audiences astounded and amazed as it reveals subtleties in their favorite music in a way that is sure to make women blush and grown men cry. The surround features Kicker's variable cross-section high-roll design, allowing extended cone travel and excellent cone control. It's firmly attached to the cone, reinforced with our iconic stitching. Betsy Ross would be so proud.
You got a finger from Skip.
The injection-molded solo cone and Laser X cone brace combined in a single ultra-rigid unit.
Check.
Venting in the brace relieves performance rubbing back.
Check from Kip. 1, 2, 3.
Up to very low distortion and amazingly clean low bass.
Is he muted?
The progressive roll blue lace spider adds even more cone control.
He's not muted.
And maximum excursion. The woven tinsel leads are sandwiched between the spider and the lace for durability and long life and to prosper.
In the place to be.
The spring terminal's heavy-duty square design accepts wires as big as 8-gauge or two 12-gauge wires for multi-sub installations. The high-temp voice coil is rumored to be spun upon the looms of the gods of polyamide fiberglass, along with a reinforced former for high strength and power handling. Now, add colossal magnets, plus a cavernous bump back plate, an extended pole piece created in a single forging, the likes that haven't been seen since the creation of Poseidon's trident. And the result is a driver with superior control and effective heat dissipation that extreme performance demands. The all-new Kicker Comp Q is designed from the ground up to deliver everything you demand from a premium subwoofer. High output, deep, powerful, accurate bass, remarkably small enclosure requirements, stunning good looks,
Check.
not to mention
There
the
we go.
ability to frighten small children when turned up to 11. So there you have it. The all-new Kicker Comp Q subwoofer. Another zenith of innovation and epic majesty from Kicker.
I built my first speaker to be louder. I was playing in a band and the drummer played so loud and the keyboard that I had wouldn't play very loud, and I went to my dad and said, I need a bigger speaker. It's a Fender Bandmaster, it costs $300. He dropped the newspaper. It said, $300. Yeah, but he didn't say no. He said, is it something that we could build? And so that's how I got started building speakers. The thing that I love to see is a product that we made and get to stand back kind of anonymously and watch somebody take a look at it, listen to it, and go, wow. I think that's what really lights my fires, to make products that people enjoy and have fun with. As time went on, I heard people say, you know, Kicker's like a family. I actually didn't set out to do that. I thought it sounded kind of hokey. I thought they were insincere and just saying that. After a few years, I realized, yeah, maybe that's what we've got. And that's the key, is the good people on your team in the band that makes the band really great. Well, I think Kicker is primarily a lifestyle company. That's a little backwards of where I started. I thought we were a technology company and we would make great products, but as time went on, realized that it's about people and helping people to enjoy their life and what they do. And that's what I do, too. So share the love a little bit, I guess.
Good evening, everyone. 7:30, Tuesday night. You know what's up. Kicker Unmasked Live Weekly is in the house. Thank you for tuning in. I'm glad to be back. This is Kip, your host. I took a couple Tuesdays off. It was only supposed to be one. I went and had some vacation with my family. It was a great time. We went out to the Outer Banks in North Carolina. I got a little bit of a suntan. If any of you out there are like me, you probably read like the side of a shampoo bottle, you know, where it says wash, rinse, repeat. Yeah, with Kip, it's more like burn, peel, repeat. I just don't tan very much. I get a little farmer's tan on the arm, but everything else just kind of rejects it. But had a great time. We spent some time on the beach. It's always a good time when you spend time with family. The local drive-through, they got to know us on a first-name basis, which was a good time. If you're from the North Carolina area, it's the first time I've ever seen one thing called a brew-through. It's actually a drive-through beverage place. It was kind of interesting. We had a great time, but I'm glad to be back in the studio. If you caught last Tuesday's show just a little bit, my wife Paul and I were actually driving back from Dallas. They canceled my flight out of Dallas, left us stranded down there. They claimed it was for weather. And so we were going to spend the night. So my wife's ready to get home, and I kind of was too. You know, you got to get that point you're ready to sleep in your own bed. So we found a rental car. That took a little bit of work, found a one-way rental, and we headed back to Stillwater, Oklahoma. If you were tuning in the show last week, you know, I joined the show just a few times from the car. According to JW, Ernie, and Tim, there were some interesting pictures they wanted to bring on screen, and they were nice and didn't bring them up. Apparently, I was too close to the camera and doing things on the car and checking the radio, and apparently it was a hoot. So anyhow, it's great to be back. Glad to see everyone here. We got a fantastic show lined up for tonight. Our own Aaron Surratt out of our R&D department, he's going to join us. We're going to do just kind of an interview conversation. We got some video, different parts of the department. He's got some great props up here we're going to talk about. We're going to kind of get into the nuts and bolts of how we research and design and develop things right here in-house. Sometimes it's bare necessity because we design everything we do from scratch here. And other times it really makes things faster. If we can actually do a tool, which Aaron will tell us all about, that's called a soft tool. If we can do a soft tool here and pull parts and experiment with it, it gives us a much faster path to actually getting that product in your hands as a consumer. So it's going to be a good time. We'll have him on here in just a little bit. As everyone knows, here in the beginning of the show, we kind of get comments, try to get what we call housekeeping out of the way. Some first things, we've changed up how we do contests just a little bit. You know, in the past, it's always been kicker.fun and then / and we have a different link for every show. Through the efforts of Bill Frog and our own internal guys here on the web team, we now have two links we're going to use. It's going to be kicker.com going forward. One link is going to be /UM Weekly, and that's the one you want to hit tonight for tonight's drawings. That's kicker.com /UM Weekly. That'll get you into the contest for tonight. Our big grand prize winner tonight, you're going to get yourself a set of Cush NC noise canceling Bluetooth headphones. Those things are fantastic. You're going to enjoy those. Of course, the Unmasked Live t-shirts are on the grab to win as a prize, and apparently, according to Hi-Fi Vega, one of my favorite kipisms, you know, a couple koozies to keep whatever favorite beverage you have nice and cold. What up, Kicker fam? Hi-Fi Vega's in the house. How you doing, Hi-Fi? Good to see you in the feed tonight. I was just making a shout out to you because you're the one that kind of called me out. Someone called me out on your channel about the kipism on the beverage containers, so thank you for that. El Fuego, not rigged. You tell me, brother. I think you've won maybe once. You've won some great prizes. We like doing this. Thank you all for tuning in. And so the nightly show, the Big Cheese is back. Emmanuel O, thank you, sir. It's good to be back in the studio. It's a good time. I love being out, love spending time with my family, but it is nice to get back into the grind. You know, last week I got prepared and I'm in the studio tonight. Mike Craner, welcome back, boss. I appreciate it, man. You know, tonight in the studio, I'm back up a second. Tonight's drawing, don't forget that. It's UM Weekly. So kicker.com /UM Weekly. Now, we already launched a contest where we are giving away, what are we giving away? A class to where, Bill? Master Tech. We're giving away, we're doing another, you know, we just did the huge contest. Thank you, Matt Starkey. I'm glad to be back. I appreciate it, brother. You know, we just did, and we've got him here, Mr. Stephen Catano, and he actually attended the MSE, the Mobile Soundstage Engineering class that we had over in Bixby, Oklahoma with Mr. Mark Eldridge. Greetings from Jamaica. Ho-ho! Extreme Auto Sound Electronics, welcome to the club. Glad to have you tuned in. Thank you for joining us tonight. But Stephen's here. We're going to get his perception. Ask him what he felt about the class, what he got away from the class. He had a tour here at Kicker today. We fed him so much food that I don't know if he really realizes how much food we eat around here. He'll probably make a comment because all we do here is eat. We do presentations, we do tours, and we eat. We're good at that. But tonight, along with the UM Weekly, we also have kicker.com /giveaway. And that is the contest that we're currently running. That contest is going to run through October, it's either October 4th or October 5th. I don't have a calendar in front of me, but it's going to be that. Say it again? 4. So it's October 4. We will wrap the contest. Do what? Bill is trying to do my job for me, but I like it. He lets me know what I'm doing. October 4th, midnight, we'll end that contest, wrap it up. We'll draw the winner on October 5th. And that's going to be for another fantastic contest like the one we just did that Steven won. And it's going to be a seat to that Master Tech Expo that's coming up with Brian Schmidt and the guys at Mobile Solutions. It's going to be a great time. It's a multi-day training class. You're going to learn everything from hands-on techniques, how to use the different tools they have to offer, how to tune and tweak a car. It is definitely going to be a fun class. And we, of course, being Kicker, we had to kick it up a notch. So besides winning the seat to that training, we are going to cover airfare for one, to and from the event. We're going to cover your hotel room at the event. And I think, is it $350 cash, Bill? Yep, $350 cash. So that is a fantastic prize. That contest is going on right now, and that is the kicker.com/giveaway. And that is for the contest that will wrap up on the 4th. We'll announce the winner to that on the 5th. The weekly drawing that we do every Tuesday night, that is the kicker.com/UMweekly. Hit those links, get in those contests. Just make sure you do tonight's contest before 8:30 Central Time. Anytime we talk about time here, we're talking Oklahoma time. That is Central Time. So tonight's contest, which is the UM Weekly, that wraps up at 8:30. Be sure you get in that drawing. The one for the big giveaway that wraps up the 4th, that's open 24 hours a day. Until then, you can enter it now or after the show whenever you feel like it. So, with that said, also, don't forget that our Canadian winners qualify. So be sure you register if you're from north of the border. And if you could, for us, as you know, we don't monetize this channel. That's not what it's about. We're here to have fun. We're here to talk about cool products, cool installs, cool guests. But we really do appreciate it is if on the way out the door tonight, if you really like the content we're doing here tonight, man, if you could give us a thumbs up, it lets us know that the content is enjoyable. We're on the right track. And number two, if you could subscribe. Speaking of subscribe, we promised you another contest when we hit 20,000 subscribers. And Bill, did we hit it? Oh, yeah. Yeah, we hit 20K. So now that I'm back in the studio, we're going to have our production meeting for next month. We will figure out what we're going to do for another drawing. And I guess we'll have to figure out if we're going to run it at the same time we're doing the drawing for the Master Tech or if we'll run it right after the Master Tech. We'll have that discussion and figure that out here in-house. And tonight, speaking of in-house, I'm back. Feels good. We got Tim, as always, behind the camera doing his job. It's a lot harder than it seems. Tim is a fantastic camera guy. Of course, you hear Bill. He's in the back taking care of things as far as on social and answer questions. We got Ernie on the keyboard, handling all the switching and doing things. And JW is on the road. Mr. JW is actually going out to Ocean City Jeep Week. And that means we have Sandy in the house. How you doing, Sandy? Give me a wave. Thank you, girl. You know, everyone loves having Sandy, and we love having Sandy on board. She does a great job and fills in for JW when he's on the road. So, Sandy, thank you for taking your Tuesday night and sharing it with all us knuckleheads up here. We do appreciate it. You give us a lot of help. And we all had dinner here tonight together. We went to Da Vinci's, local Italian joint. Dinner was fantastic. Stephen had a calzone. I'll let you tell him about that and see what he thought. Maybe he'll give us some kind of rating scale, you know, like the pizza guy, you know, one bite, you know, all the rules. Maybe he'll tell us how good the calzone was. So with that said, I think that basically wraps up housekeeping on the fun side. On a serious note, what I noticed when we got into the feed here tonight, a gentleman by the name of Train chimed in and said that he laid his grandfather to rest today.
You're killing us, brother.
I am your cover girl. So are the planes not landing here now? Or is the sheen gone? But Train, seriously, heads up, brother. Sorry about that. You know, that's one of those sorry passages of life. Our sincere condolences out to you. Thank you for tuning in to the show tonight. Kicker family's here for you, brother. We feel for you. So if anybody in the feed knows Train, be sure you let him know that you're rooting for him and pulling for him during this difficult time. So with that said, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, events. Events. We need to cover events. Ernie, if you don't mind, bring my laptop up as an asset real quick. And hopefully it's on the screen. You'll tell me it's on the screen because now I can't tell. Perfect. So I want to just do a quick rundown on what we've done. You know, we used to go through every event in pretty much detail and go to the websites. Bill has done a great job. He's pulled them all together. If you want to know where Kicker is going to be, simply go to the Kicker Facebook page. Over on the left-hand side, once you get there, there's going to be a wonderful thing that says events. Boom, right there. Just click events. It'll pop up over here. It'll show you all the events that we have scheduled that we're going to. Of course, here's this one. This is tonight's event. Hey, it's going on right now. We can ignore that one. Scroll up above that one, JW, Ocean City Jeep Week. That's happening over in Ocean City, Maryland. If you're in that area, the XRV is en route to that location. It'll be set up. Go check it out. You can check out the mobile boom room that we have on the rig. Talk to JW. Experience all the great kicker products we have available for that. Check it out. Good news followed by bad news. Knowledge Fest Dallas. That was going to be down in Dallas coming up. That has been canceled. That event has been pulled. It was going to be August 27th and 29th. That's been pulled. They've rescheduled it for, if I remember right, December 10th and December 11th. So that's been rescheduled. I'm sure we'll add that back into our schedule as we get closer to that. No, it's going to be a firm date, but that's been pulled. So if you were going to Knowledge Fest in Dallas, show's canceled. Don't go. Top of that, we have the Sand Sports Super Show, and at this point, as far as we know, that show is still going on. That's going to be September 17th and September 19th. The XRV will be there as well. Be sure you check out that. That's going to be in Costa Mesa, California, out at Orange County Fairgrounds. That's a fantastic show. I've been there a few times myself. Check it out. Another opportunity to hang with the Kicker crew. And then, so far, and again, we have to be pretty dynamic with this, be able to change things on the fly. But as we sit right now, Saturday, October 16th, we are going to have the Old School Stereo Meet. That's your boy High Five Vega, Big D Wiz, Derek Williston. They will be obviously the rock stars at that. It's something they've started and been doing for quite a while, and we've agreed to host that here at the Kicker World headquarters on that Saturday, the 16th. So far, it's on the books. But always stay tuned to the show here. We will let you know the status of any event. And of course, we'll update that on our events page on Facebook. So keep that in mind. You can always find out what the current status is. And then last but certainly not least, the Showdown, the great Las Vegas Taco Festival. That is our boy, Mr. Steve Barber, over at Shartin' on 'em, another Kipism. That is going to be going on. We are the title sponsor for that event. It's going to be a good time. It's a music festival. It's a taco festival. On Saturday and Sunday, they have a huge car show and an SPL sound quality show planned. It's going to be a great time. We're proud to be the title sponsor of that. Hopefully, we'll be able to get out there and get to that event. Hopefully, nothing will shut that down. And by, I don't need to wink, you know what I'm talking about. So hopefully that event will kick off and go, but we are the title sponsor of that, and we're proud to do that with Mr. Steve Barber over at Shartin' on 'em. So Steve, if you're watching, brother, maybe we need to have a show where we have you on and we actually discuss that show and talk about it. It's going to be a huge event. I've referred to it many times as the Slamology of the West Coast, and I really do mean that. Slamology is a huge show, happens over in Indianapolis. Great show, big show. But on the West Coast side of things, Steve has been doing the show for a couple years, and it's a big deal. And I mean it in the most respectful way. It's kind of the Slamology on the West Coast. So it's going to be a great show. With that said, Ernie, you can switch back anytime you're ready to me, or unless you already have. Whoa, there we go. I think that pretty well covers housekeeping for the night. If I forgot something, I'm going to say it's because I haven't been here for 2 Tuesdays and I've lost my stride, but hopefully we'll get back into it. Any comments you want to put up, Sandy, anytime you want, throw them up on the screen. Love to have them if there are any. But at this point, what I want to do, and if you got them, throw them up. Any comment, we'll take them. But I want to introduce and bring on to the stage to join us Mr. Stephen Catano, and he'll tell me if I got it right as he comes on. And Stephen is a gentleman from California, came all the way in from California. He was the winner of the MSE contest. And I'm going to ask him some questions, let him tell us in his own words. But Stephen was the lucky winner. When you won, which was kind of cool, I didn't know this at the time, and Bill informed me, is like the town that we said you were from really isn't the town you're from. So at first you were excited because you saw Stephen C.
Yeah.
And you thought you were the winner.
And then when you announced Roseville, I was like, ah.
It kind of
so
crushed
close.
you.
And then I commented, you know, that I was so close. I'm from California, but not the right city. Then you joked on me the rest of the show.
We didn't mean to do that to you. It's just something we did. But he thought he was the winner. Crushed him that he wasn't the winner, and then he found out he was the winner. Yeah. Excited. Something that's interesting. You're someone that I would call a car audio enthusiast. It's not like you're not you don't do it for a 9-to-5 job. You're not an installer or a salesman in the industry. But I found it very interesting. What do you do on a daily basis? What's your 9-to-5?
I'm a lead electrician for a company that builds industrial packaging machinery.
So you probably deal with a little bit more than 12 volts on a daily basis.
Yeah, 480, 240.
So not that wimpy 14.4 volt.
Nah.
You're dealing with the big stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking big industrial, probably 3-phase stuff and probably 24-volt control voltages and things like that.
Yeah.
I thought that was real interesting that you have that kind of background. And you also told me that you're moving into you're going to move towards engineering or something like that.
That's the goal.
That's the goal.
So I'm going to work hard and try to build up where I'm at and work into electrical engineering without going to school.
I'm going to tell you what, anyone can do anything if they put their mind to it. And if you want to
That's
do
the
that,
plan.
I know you can. So I've spent the last couple days with Steven, hang out. Great guy. Took him to dinner last night. I want you to tell the story in your own words. I mean, you had to be as economical with your time as you could getting here. So you had somebody help you get here.
Yeah. I
Tell us the story.
decided to drive out
From
straight
California.
with no stops other than bathroom breaks and gas. 24 hours to get here. Had somebody come with me, drive half the time, let me sleep some.
And then you drove while they slept.
Well, they tried. They couldn't sleep.
Right. You know, he came out here. He had to be here on Friday because Mark Eldridge's class at Mobile Soundstage Engineering, which is over in Bixby, Oklahoma, which is just basically Tulsa. You might as well call it Tulsa. And I came over Saturday morning with Bill Frog. We met you there real quick. Got to see part of the class. I mean, tell us in your own words. I mean, I look at it. I've actually experienced Mark's class a little bit over the years because Mark used to work here at Kicker, and I've actually been to some trainings with Mark. But it's really like drinking from a fire hose. I mean, there's a lot of information that he puts.
Yeah,
out there.
he's a very knowledgeable guy. You know, really knows his craft, and I'm just happy I got the opportunity to learn from him.
The thing I found interesting, and when we talked about it afterwards, is, and Bill asked you this, and I thought it was a good question, is that you feel now with what Mark exposed you to, some of the tools he showed you, whether it's musical tracks or audio test tracks, and how to use them, that you now feel like you do have a more confident take on being able to go in and start, because the only way you learn tuning and tweaking a car is to actually do it.
Yeah.
Unless you start doing it, you just don't know. But now you actually said like you felt you had the confidence that you had a little bit of understanding and knowledge of not just how, but the tools to do it, that you felt like you could start doing stuff on your own.
Yeah, I feel I got the knowledge and the right pathways to go and try to learn and do and build my own system to, you know, a level way above what I could when I first attended his class.
So something I found was interesting, and you can say the brand names, it doesn't matter. It's Kicker UnMasked Live, but we can talk about other brands, it doesn't matter. But you drove here with a non-functioning big bass system, did you not?
Yeah, I got a...
Tell us the story.
I got a full Wolfram system. I got AG12s, I got the W4500 and the W, 125x4 amp. All of it's in there. I got the high voltage ran, and that's where I stopped.
And and he opened the trunk and showed, he's got Dynamat in there. I mean, he started doing it up the right way. He's got the woofer box in there. It's a nice big, it's a prefab, but it looks like a nice box.
Yeah.
Got the woofers
Double
in there.
baffle.
Lots of wire.
Yeah.
And
$500 in wire alone.
and I'm proud to say it looked like you're not going to be a member of Team No Fuse. You're going to run fuses.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad you're going to run fuses. Circuit boards and amplifiers can be fuses, but we prefer not to use them as fuses. And so you're definitely a bass head. We talked about some of the brands you know in the industry. Obviously, Kicker is one of them, but there's obviously all these other brands that you know about. You know, but you're into that big, high output, low frequency output. I mean, that's your bag.
Yeah.
So
I got to feel it in the chest.
You got to feel it in the chest.
Hit the mic.
So, hopefully, you're anxiously waiting for this.
Yeah. Love to see what that can do.
You know, the L7X obviously is going to be the driver that's going to appeal to someone like you. We showed you, you actually saw some things today in RD that you can't talk about.
I didn't see nothing.
That's what I like. That's the perfect answer, my brother. He saw some things he can't talk about, and maybe even saw some power you like. I don't know, maybe. We'll just have to see. You saw a lot of stuff in R&D. We did a full tour of the facility here, and what was interesting to me is, as I always like looking at someone who's getting a tour of the facility through their eyes to see what you find interesting about the place. And you know, besides R&D, and you got to see the Solo X and some other things and how we develop things. We had a great talk with Jeff and Laura, which are a couple of our acoustical engineers and test lab test assistants. They do a great job testing product, analyzing it, run it through the clipboard, trying to destroy it, do all sorts of things. And you enjoyed everything, but the one thing that I found interesting is you were really focused on, you're like, well, what about this OE stuff that you guys do? Because we do OE systems for some of those, and you wanted to know, were they cheap speakers or were they real speakers? I think that's what you said.
Yeah, because in my experience with OE, you know, companies, you know, who do it, it's just cheap speakers. It's never on the level of what an entry aftermarket speaker does. And I was so surprised to see the quality of speaker that you guys put in your OE applications.
He wanted to see them so much that I walked him around. I probably walked him to death. We walked to a couple different areas till I finally found where they were at, and I showed him a 3.5, a 6.5, and a woofer that comes out of our OE enclosures. And you were quite impressed with those.
Yeah, they're all top notch, in my opinion, for an OE application.
And that was something that I think it really kind of touched me in a different way, seeing that through his eyes, that he was not just impressed with all this cool aftermarket stuff, but saw that the attention and level of detail and commitment to the quality of the product that we put into something, even if it's OE, that carries the Kicker name.
Yeah, I was impressed. That's all I can say. I was impressed.
Another question he asked me today, and I got to bring this one up. He said, this Master Tech Expo thing, can I enter that contest too? And yes, you can enter the contest too. As you know, we've got Deviant and El Fuego and 25 Hertz to Life over here. They all know the contest is rigged anyway. So
they get pretty upset if I won again, right?
If you won again, they might. It is rigged, but it's only for a few of the guys. We just don't let them win.
As long as it's rigged for me,
we won't
okay
rig it for you. If you put your name in the hat and we pull you, you can win it. It's not you can double dip all you want. You can re-enter the contest. So I'm glad that you won the contest. I'm glad it's someone who is an enthusiast that got something out of spending time with Mark. I hope you enjoyed your time here today at Kicker.
Yeah, loved it here. There's good people all the way around, good company, good products.
We just try hard.
Yeah, I'm just happy that I got the opportunity to be here.
Well, Stephen, it's our pleasure. We love that our bosses was who we report to, and ultimately Steve Irby. Thank you, Steve Irby. If you watch, I know you watch a lot of these, and Jay, thank you too, sir. They really let us do these really cool drawings and contests and pull you guys in, and we really hope that the community out there loves, respects, understands, wants more of these type of contests from us, because we really like doing this stuff for you guys. It's a great time here on UnMasked. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for entering the contest. And Stephen, thank you for entering and being our winner tonight.
Well, thank you for having me.
Okay, don't go too far. Go ahead and go off camera though, but don't run away. We're probably gonna have you come back. But that is Mr. Stephen Catano. He is our winner with the MSE contest. Loved having him over there. Got to meet him Saturday morning at Mark's place. Bill Frog and I actually stayed till about lunchtime, then we had to go. I had some family commitments. I couldn't stay for the whole day. I wish I could have, because I was enjoying everything that Mark was doing over there. But he had a great time, 2 days of deep learning with Mark. He had a great tour here, being on the show tonight, and we are very proud to have him join us tonight and be the winner of the MSE contest. And it went so well, I think even Mark agreed that in the future, when he does another class, we'll probably do another seat, maybe two, you never know. We'll get some more people a chance to win a chance to go visit Mark over at Bixby, Oklahoma, and see what happens over at Mobile Soundstage Engineering. So with that said, that takes care of Stephen. I wanted to get him on the show tonight. We may have him come back again for a little bit of commentary, but tonight's meat and potatoes is going to be showing you guys some video, showing you guys some tools, some materials, and talking to our own in-house. And I know we've had him on the show a few times on some fixed videos. He was on the original Unmasked show. I want to get him here in the studio. And as always, it's my man, the myth, the legend, the one and only, as we call him, the Rat, Mr. Aaron Surratt. Sir, how are you?
I'm good, man. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing fantastic. Real quick what's your title now, obviously?
New Product Development Manager.
Okay, I actually didn't, I know you're the new product development, but I didn't know what other title came along with that. I mean, it could be guru, head guy, whatever. Aaron's humble, but when we get into it, Aaron has had his fingers in the development of a lot of Kicker products that you know today. And what Steve has done is he's taken a few people under his wing and he's teaching them how Steve made Kicker what it is today, what he knows about speakers, what he knows about enclosure design. And you've been soaking that up for years. And you started off, I think, in customer phone tech, correct?
Yep, tech support.
Okay, I thought got that right. And then you worked that for a few years, and then you actually moved kind of almost at the same time with Ernie, didn't you? Weren't you a trainer with Ernie?
Yeah, actually, Ernie came to the company. I was still in tech support.
Okay.
A few years later, I joined the training team.
Right.
Did that for about 8 years. And then in, 09, 2010, somewhere in there is when I transitioned over to R&D.
And when he moved over to R&D, I mean, he literally kind of became Steve's right-hand guy. Steve started having all these downloads with Aaron as far as this is why to design things the way I do, this is what happens, you do things this way. And it's everything from speaker development to enclosure development, and it's the whole 9 yards. I mean, you're working pretty close with Steve on just about every project we do here.
Yeah, on the acoustic projects, definitely.
On the acoustics.
Yeah, anything that he wants to do, any side projects that maybe are not even in the till as a product that we're going to put into production. Maybe after we, go through the prototyping process, if it turns out good, maybe it does become a product. But yeah, whatever Steve wants to execute, whatever we need to work on that's in the development chain, is what we do.
So Aaron is truly a guru at this. He is fantastic at his job. I think one of the things, besides knowing Aaron for as long as he's worked here, but on a personal level, I really respect this guy. But I also respect what he thinks sounds good because, and it's funny, Aaron will call me or text me, hey, you in the building? Where you at? You free for a second? I'll go, yeah. He said, come on down the lab. So I'll go down the lab, and he'll show me something he's working on or tuned or played with. And he'll play some cuts, and then he'll let me play whatever tracks I want to listen to. And this guy here, I could let you tune a car for me or build a product for me because you like the way it sounds like I like the way it sounds.
Yeah, that's why I always call him to come check it out because I know that we have similar taste. And so if I'm geeking out on it, then I know he's probably going to enjoy it too. So
I can't tell you what they are, but there was an acoustic product that you worked on here a while back, and I came and listened to it, and I was floored by it. Was the first round sample of it that you'd done. It was in a box. It was the that we can't talk about, but it was the first one you did, and I was like, this product's good enough right now. I don't even know if we need to go any further. I mean, it sounds great right now, and you're like, yeah, it sounds great, and you had a few things, and I was like, okay, I can see that. So you're really focused on making sure that what comes out of here has a great smooth signature, great smooth mid-range, a little sparkle to it in the right places, and that good bottom end drive to it. I mean, you're focused on that.
Well, yeah, and we got to make it sound like Irby wants it to sound too. So I keep that in mind as well. So
that's true.
We've got that guidance from Irby. We know what he likes. We try our best to achieve that. And really and truly, we're all pretty much on the same page when it comes to good sound. We all pretty much have the same opinion almost all of the time. So it works out real well.
So here I'm going to. Hi-Fi Vega's got something here. I'm just going to pop it up real quick. Yeah, man, Aaron got me and Kip both, and we got to listen to something he was working on in the listening room.
That's right. You were here for that. That's cool.
He was here for that.
Yeah, we're going to see if we can make it a little bit better, though. Like Kip said, it was a first-round sample. So we've got a little bit of time to tweak, and our acoustic engineer, he's going to make a couple of little changes to the driver. That should get us a few improvements. But, yeah, we're really happy with it so far.
So no
I wish
sound. We
could talk about it, but we can't.
So I see Bobby say, Kip, no sound. Is there no sound coming from me, Ernie? Just checking. Hey, guys, comment. Are you getting sound from my microphone? Yeah. Okay. It's just, I saw Bobby say no sound, so I was just checking that. Oh, Bobby's still using dial-up AOL. Come on, Bobby, what do we got to do? It broke. Bean, no bean. So with that said, what I want to get into, the first thing I want to show is hey, Ernie, you ready? All right, get ready to play, but don't play it yet. I want you to play the first video, but not just yet. Are you ready?
The one with the green?
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that one. We're not going to play a lot of that, but we're going to play it. But hold on, before you play it, hold on. So we've got some video. A couple of them I shot with you a few weeks back, and it's actually of the new full sheet CNC we've got.
Yeah.
And then we have vac forming capability here, and have had for a long time because we prototype and do lots of things here on the OE side, and we use it for AFM development. Mm-hmm. But before we get into that, I want to quiz you, not that you don't know the answer, but I want to tell these people. When it comes to product development, we really have three key stages that we work on here, and we call those EV, mm-hmm. DV, mm-hmm. and PV.
Yes.
What the heck are those?
Engineering validation. That's going to be our first round, so we'll get an EV1. Sometimes we'll even get an EV2 sample if we're not happy with the EV1 or if something is way off. But typically on EV samples, that's the very first. Like I said, it's engineering validation. Things are somewhat rough. A lot of times the sample is a SLA, so it's just for us to look things over and make sure that we can move forward and we feel comfortable with the project.
So once it goes through an EV and we feel comfortable with the project, it feels like it's something we do want to make and develop. Mm-hmm. It ticks the boxes as far as, sounds good, it's manufacturable, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. we move then on to DV.
DV, which
and that
is design validation.
Okay.
So that's where we validate the design. And at this stage in the process, we've got something that's a little bit closer to how it's going to be in production. It should be getting really close to working. If something's way off acoustically, we've still got a little bit of time at this point, and we can get, instead of just, when we start, we're at the DV1 sample, we can move over to a DV2. Sometimes we go into DV3. It just all depends on how well the sampling process goes and how good the samples are.
So in that process, as far as the DV, we're really honing things down. We're getting the bugs worked out, whether it's fit, finish, software, acoustics. And then when we move on to the last stage, which is?
PV.
What is that?
Production validation. So it pretty much needs to be good to go at this stage. Every now and then we need to do a second PV run, or maybe even a third. But by this time, the product should be, well on its way to being mass produced and pretty locked in and dialed in.
Now, my understanding, and you can correct me if I'm wrong because it's just my understanding, but my understanding is that the PV stage is where we can actually, we may have something all the way done and it's ready and it's what we want to build and we think it's great, but we find out that it can't be mass produced at the PV stage, and so we still may have to make changes to make sure it can be mass produced and run down an assembly line. Is that correct too?
Yes, definitely.
So those bugs can be discovered.
Yes, I mean, we can find stuff in PV, or sometimes our vendor might say, well, if we make this slight change, it'll make it easier during our assembly process, or something along those lines.
Okay.
So yeah, we still have feedback. We still get feedback in PV. It's not always ready to go. We still have time to make some changes. But after PV, it's MP, mass production. So it's got to be good to go at that point.
And in mass production, we're writing a PO and we're ordering.
We
hundreds,
usually
thousands, tens of thousands, whatever it is.
Yes, whatever projections are for that particular product. Yeah.
Now, in doing all that process, we develop everything here at Stillwater, at Stillwater Designs here in Stillwater, Oklahoma. We do it all here, but because we work with houses that do the development to our specs and standards, a lot of times, okay, here, we need to build this tool, and we need to get a part to test. And then we get the part to test and go, nope, that's not what we need. So now we need to modify the tool or build a new tool. And sometimes there's a lot of back and forth that goes on, and that back and forth, especially when you're dealing with someone who's on a different time zone or in a different country, can add a lot of delay to the process.
Yeah, I mean, the shipping time, first we have to request it, and then there's the lead time, then they have to produce it, and then it needs to ship here. So it can take quite a bit of time, and that can really drag the sampling process out.
And the reason I wanted to cover those three, it's really four if we include the manufacturing run. So it's actually, the three is the development, and then we build it.
Yeah.
But I want you to understand those steps and understand those, because we may talk about those different terminology through the process of doing this and understand how we go through development. And now, Ernie, if you will, roll that beautiful beam footage of that first one there. And what we've got going on here is this is the CNC, basically, that we just acquired. We've had it for 3 months?
Yeah, at the most.
We had some smaller ones. This is the first full sheet one that we've got. And of course, there's people chomping at the bit wanting to use this for all sorts of things. And the reason I brought up, the different steps between EV, DV, PV, and MP, if we have to go back and forth on getting something right, let's say it's the durometer of the surround, the material in the surround, the number of ribs in the surround, the spacing, anything like that, this machine now gives us the capability to make, we always call them soft tools.
Yep.
And with a soft tool, you can, to do something like this probably takes about a day to mill out. And then I've seen you pull parts. You can pull parts in 30 minutes.
Real quick, yeah.
Real quick.
Real
once
quick.
The machine's warm,
if the machine's warm, we clamp the material in there, and if it's Santoprene, it's instantaneous. As soon as we put the vacuum on it, it's
sucked down your gun.
Yeah.
So this is a tool, this big CNC that we've got, and we captured some footage of it here in action. I want you guys to see this. Is we can use this for doing a lot of stuff in-house. Our guys like Tim and the guys in the back who do special operations and projects and demo vehicles, they can use this. They can lay out a box, they can do logos, they can do whatever they want on this big machine. But we also, the other focus on this is we can use it to make soft tools directly off of our engineering work up front. So they can take what they're working on in engineering, we can run it to the back and put it into this CNC, and we can create soft tools in a day sounds like a long time, but there's a lot of detail in us around. There's a lot of things that have to happen to get that carved out, but a day of carving time is a whole lot quicker than requesting new tool, overseas, shipment, getting it back. So we could probably, this right here takes us a day. It essentially could easily shave 3 to 4 weeks off a development process.
This one actually took just under 6 hours.
To do this one.
To do this one. And we actually have the piece right here. We can show you guys in better detail. But yeah, you can set it at a higher resolution, and it predicted that would take 12 hours. But for the Santa Preen sample, we didn't need higher resolution. So we might as well go ahead and get it done. And in the same day, we were able to build the tool, put it on the machine, and get ourselves a surround.
So that machine, so we'll give you, I know Tim was over on camera 3 getting it lined up, or camera 1, I always get them mixed up. He's got a view here. So actually, zoom in, Ernie, if you can. Let's move to, that's enough on the CNC. I can only watch it cutting for so long. But this is the actual tool that came from that video that we shot.
Yep.
And Aaron let me know, because I mean, Aaron is always looking. He's saying, hey, we're getting ready to do this today. Do you want to capture some footage to put on the show? And because of that, that's what led to us actually saying, Aaron, let's just get you on the show and talk about all this. I think people find this interesting. So this is the actual tool that came out of that CNC machine, which started with our engineers up front. Mm-hmm. And then this part was taken right out of the CNC. Aaron took it over to the vac form.
Yep.
And you pull on that.
Actually, this is the material. This is some raw material. We get this in various thicknesses in durometers. Durometer is the hardness or stiffness of the material. So we'll start here. We'll cut a piece. I usually cut a 25 by 25 piece, throw it in the machine, and put the vacuum, get it hot, of course, and put the vacuum on it. And then we end up with a finished product that our techs can then glue to an actual woofer for testing. So if I can get this loose here. Here's an actual finished surround.
That's
so that's what
hold
we
up
get.
there for Timmy. He'll get it on the cam. But that is an actual surround that you pulled off of the tool.
Yes.
Off of the vac former, right here in house. So something that would take weeks for us to do typically, you did in a day.
Yeah, and you know, it's nice because, like I said, we can then get this to our techs. They can glue it on a driver, and then we can do immediate testing. And if it doesn't work, guess what? I can go back to the machine, I can get thicker or a thinner material or whatever adjustment we feel like we need to make, throw it on the machine, and we have another one. And we don't have all that lead time and downtime with requesting a sample from the vendor. So it's really cool that we have the ability to do this. It helps to speed things up drastically.
And I saw Ernie, which thank you, Ernie, for starting that. This is actually the video I shot of you at the vac former, and you're actually pulling the part here. And as you can see, that's the tool loaded in. There is the material, hopefully, well, it's in the video, you'll get to it, but you actually slide by the way, this thing makes a great pizza warmer, by the way.
Yeah, we bake cookies in it and everything else.
But, you know, the material, as you can see, it's clamped in with these air-driven clamps that holds the material, and then you literally just slide it in, you cook it, get it warm, and then when you pull it out, it'll be vac formed. Now, a question I asked you, how do you know when it's ready to pull?
Okay, well, that was something that we kind of had to figure out when we first started. You can read ExxonMobil's website, and I believe that the forming temperature for this material, because it is an ExxonMobil material, I believe it's 385 degrees. So I was trying with a temperature gun and trying to get it heated to 385 degrees, and it wasn't working out. And we finally got it working. And then after doing it over some years, I finally learned that all we really need to do is look at the material. So when it starts getting hot, first the material will sag, then it'll wrinkle. There you guys can see the vacuum form process there. But
I mean, it's just like that. It's
instantaneous. ABS, of course, especially thicker, it's going to take a little longer to pull it into the form. And we also do some ABS enclosures and things of that nature on this as well.
Marcus Nance has got a question up on the screen. Thank you, Sandy, for that. Is there a limit on the size of the material it cuts? So I'm sure Marcus must be referring to the CNC.
The CNC, it's a 4x8.
So it's 4x8
sheet of wood.
So as far as size, we can go 4 foot by 8 foot.
Yes.
And as far as thickness, it's adjustable, isn't it? I mean, we can.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty tall. I mean, you could do a pretty tall.
Right.
You could cut out a pretty tall piece.
Yeah, I don't have the exact number. We could check on that and obviously bring it back on a future show. Because what I'd like to do, guys, is if you enjoy stuff like this, let me know, because I really want to get Aaron on the show at least every 45 to 60 days and talk about stuff like this, because Aaron is in R&D and he's got his ear, he's got his hands on this stuff all the time. And I think it's really cool to have Aaron give us updates and show us what they're doing. And I felt this was a really good first step to kind of show the tools that we can manufacture here that you use on a daily basis to make our products.
Yeah.
Develop them. I mean, once they're done and signed off on, obviously all this turns into real aluminum tools and things like that. But we have to start with prototyping to know where we're going.
Exactly.
So you've brought, and before I skip to the other videos, Ernie, hold off on the other videos for a second, but before we get to those, what other tools have you brought here and what do they represent?
Okay, so this, for example, this is a 3D printed tool that we have the ability to do in our R&D department. And so our mechanical guys 3D printed this. What this is a sealing spider for a marine product. So this actually glues to the cone and then also attaches to the post of a coax. So it seals the gap there and water can't get in. So for our marine products, we like to use these sealing spiders. So there's an example. Here's another example of a sealing spider that we did with just a half roll.
And speaking of those, what's cool about that is I remember the design team, which is another meeting we have where marketing and sales and R&D gets together. And I remember the meeting where we looked at the canned product and we looked at that's an intrusion point that we probably should take care of, and that created the conversation, which led to let's create a sealing spider to go there on that outside to prevent water, salt, or whatever getting down into there. And so that conversation from the design team evaluating where we were at on that product, which at that point I don't know if we were in the EV or DV process, but that's what prompted us to do this. And what was cool is you could go print this, go pull it, and we could put it on a product and try it almost instantly.
Yeah, it's nice. Our mechanical guys draw it up, they send it to the 3D printer, they give it to me, and we have a part.
Now, something that's interesting, and this is why I have it, Aaron actually gave it to me, I could keep it here on the show, but underneath that stack, that is actually, the surround we kept talking about, that is actually a tool that you had made from the 3D printer.
Yes.
And the one thing that we found out over time, and one of the issues with a 3D printed tool, is that heat tends to deform them. You can only get so many pulls off of the part before it's no good.
Yes, I mean, the material that we're pulling here is called PLA. So it's not going, or that we're printing here is called PLA. So it doesn't handle a lot of heat. It's a fairly basic 3D printer for us to just, be able to see some concepts. That's why it's nice to have this CNC now, because these can't really stand up to the heat. They warp. And
well, that one there, did you get a close-up on that one, Timmy, the part
I probably
there?
set it down too fast.
Show, kind of point out, you can see, I mean, obviously we're here in studio, you can see, but you can tell where this part, after pulling a couple of the surrounds off of it, it started to warp and do things.
Mostly at the foot, you can see, right in here, it's warped pretty bad. But then it's deformed and the surround doesn't act like it needs to act, and so it's kind of worthless for us.
So that's why you gave it to me, so, give a worthless tool to a worthless guy and we go get along great in the studio. But I really think, we get exposed to this stuff on a daily basis. And of course I see it because I come down and interface with you guys, but I felt it was worth bringing all this to the table and talking about this because it is how we can and do develop products. And here in the last couple of months, we've even added more tools to our stable so we can do this type of prototyping much faster.
Definitely.
So what's this?
This is a dust cap.
Oh.
So we needed a dust cap for a driver. So as you can see, it's kind of, I don't know if you can see that. I'll try to turn it so you can get some shadows going there. But yeah, that's just a button-shaped dust cap.
He'll get a close-up on it. Look at Tim there. He'll get it.
I can't remember which product this was for. It's probably for a product we don't have available yet. But there you go. You can see all the holes for the vacuum. That's what allows the material to pull in. And for this, we actually used polypropylene. We didn't do a Santoprene dust cap. And so we've also got polypropylene. We've got sheets of this stuff. Plastic, basically, thermoformable plastic in various thicknesses. So we could do cones, we could do dust caps, whatever we need to do. So
I find it very interesting, and then hopefully, please leave your comments in the feed, leave your comments, hit smash the thumbs up button if you like this, but I think content like this is very valuable so you get you a much deeper insight into how we as a company develop our products and can get up to market in a much faster manner. And as I look up at the clock real quick, I'm noticing that it is coming up at 8:15, which means you got about 15 minutes to go enter the contest here for tonight's drawing. And keep in mind, the contest tonight is kicker.com/UM Weekly. And Bill Frog, I know he'll put it up into the comment section. He'll chime it up there one time. He may even run up. There it is. It's scrolling across the bottom of the screen. But you got about 15 minutes to enter tonight's contest. If you're new to the show and you're just tuning in, we run a nightly contest every Tuesday night. We run it from the start at 7:15. We cut it off right at 8:30, and we announce the winners on the show. So if you're new, go hit kicker.com/UMWeekly. Enter the contest. It'll get you in. We draw 3 prizes tonight. It's fantastic fun. Then the other contest that's currently running is kicker.com/giveaway, and that is the training seat, the hotel, the flight, and the cash, so that you can go experience the Master Tech training, which is going to be awesome, hosted by Brian Schmidt and the guys over at Mobile Solutions. So we love doing these contests for you guys. Just want to give you a heads up on tonight's. Go check it out. You got about 15 minutes. Go enter if you haven't already. Real quick, here's a good question. Matt Stark, what 3D printer do you guys use? I know we got 3 or 4 of them. Do you know what they are?
I think they're MakerBots.
That's what I think they are too.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know the model, but yeah, they're MakerBots.
I think 3 I've seen are MakerBots, and there's one that's, I can't think of the name, but it's a different name.
Yeah,
but,
maybe so.
But I do know there are times down R&D where those machines will be running 24/7 making stuff.
Yep.
I mean, they run all the time. Brad Manning, I had to bring this comment up because I see it in the comment section, especially shout out to Steven over here because he's all focused about it too. Brad Manning, I'll be sampling it with 9 L7X15s and a 4th order. Brad, sounds like you got a plan. We need to make that happen, Captain. Acoustical art, how much does a patent cost Kicker? Ooh.
I don't know. That's a question for Bart.
That's a question for Bart. We need to get Bart on the show. You know, guys, we can find that out. I mean, obviously, we do have a patent attorney. She works with us on all these things that we have patents for. It is a lengthy in time and a costly expense to patent something. We want to make sure that it's worth patenting for. There's a lot of things that Kicker, if you go back into the Wayback Machine and look at what Kicker did as far as extended pole pieces and some of the things, the uniplate motor structure, there were actually things that back then Steve probably should have patented because other successful companies came along and they really just copied it.
Yep.
And so, but the thing with patents is, you know, if you invest all the time, money in getting a patent, sometimes you alter one thing and they can find a way to get around your patent. So, you know, whether it's a design patent or a utility patent, you got to decide which way you're going and how you can enforce it. And there's a lot of stuff to go with that. We do put patents on our products. We just won, we covered it on a show, the most recent one. We got I think it was a design patent on all the downfiring enclosures that we do.
Yeah, I think so, yep.
And that was Kyle and David Justice, is that right? Mm-hmm. There's 2 or 3 guys that they got their name on that patent. So, you know, if it's something we feel it's worth patenting, we do it. As far as cost, man, I'd be a liar if I gave you any number right now, so don't make me tell you a number, but we'll research it and find out what it is, and we can obviously cover that question on a future show, no problem at all. I do know that, you know, for example, and I told Steven about this earlier, when it comes to doing, like, we're just looking at surrounds here. If we decide we want to test a new surround on a product, like, let's pretend we had a product that was already in the marketplace and we decided we wanted to try a different surround on it and see how it performed. We have to tool that up. And if we rely on someone to build us a tool and do everything, it could cost us upwards of $10,000 just to get to the point that we can form a new surround and put it on a product and test it and see if this really the direction we would go, or do we want to stay where we're at.
Yeah.
And so doing stuff like this, even though there is the investment in the CNC and the, we already had we've had that vac former forever.
Yeah.
Because our OE development team uses that all the time.
Since we moved into this building.
Yeah, so forever, literally. But having this tool here is, now Aaron can take and work with the guys up in engineering. He can take a design that they come up with right out of, and I think it's SolidWorks is what we use, is it not? He can take it right out of SolidWorks. They can go to that CNC. They can do a soft tool like this. We can pull apart and we can have our technicians put it on a driver, and it doesn't cost us $10,000.
Yeah, a lot less.
It's a whole lot less.
Like we've been saying, the lead time. So, yeah, lead time saves a lot of money. So, yeah, and we've got the ability, so why not?
It's, oh, I just missed one. Doggone it. Let me go back up there. So the Ernie, if you could, would you please roll the next video? And when I remember or look at what it is, we'll discuss it right here, because I know you got some more there. All right, so guys, this video here, I shot it earlier, and I'll let Aaron work with me and talk over it. In this whole process of making products, this is what we refer to as the break-in room or the destruct room, or what do you call it?
The destruct room.
You call it the destruct room.
Yeah.
And as you can see, we've got a whole stack of gear here. We do use QSC Pro Sound amplifiers to get all the power we need. So we have plenty of power on tap. They can run any kind of sine, sweep, burp, tone, you name it, they can do it. And it basically runs through the wall here into this room. And this room was set up, it is basically, I mean, yeah, I mean, you can catch a speaker on fire. It can happen.
Yes.
We don't want it to happen, but sometimes it can. But so this room is set up to be acoustically dead. It's designed to keep all the noise inside the room. It has its own sealed electrical system there. It's on a fire suppression system, so if something were to go wrong, you know, we're safe on that. But this room is where we take drivers in to do break-ins before we do listening tests on them, because that's, and I want to get back to that in a second. We do break-ins. If we need to power test, which we do every single driver to find out what it runs, this is where you can go in sometimes during the week and you get that wonderful Kapton smell, the glue, and the, because we're finding out what's the limit of the driver. You can't publish it unless you know it.
That's right.
And so that's what we do in this room is we do a lot of break-in, we do a lot of thermal testing. Actually, when I filmed this, there's no audio, but right now there's actually a pair of Comp R woofers that are going through a break-in period right there for something. I don't know what the engineers are working on.
Yeah, I don't either.
But I just knew they had them running there. They were going through the typical sign sweep and they were breaking them in. And I want to come back to this topic on breaking them in. And I hate to admit my age, but I'm an older guy. But I've been dealing with Kicker as a brand. I started dealing with Kicker 35 years ago, probably at this point. And it was kind of, I'm going to share this funny story, but I had a guy come in the store after we put a system, and if anyone out there runs a retail store, you know exactly what I'm talking about here. You put a system in for someone, they go out, and they come back to the store 2 or 3 weeks later, and you see them coming in, and you're like, oh, what's broke? And you don't, it's like, it's a problem I got to deal with. But it was and it was right after I started carrying Kicker in the store. We had other brands that we carried in the store, and we just picked up Kicker, and I'd installed a full Kicker system for this guy. And so he comes in the store and he comes up and I you know, you kind of build that relationship as a customer. So it was he came and said, hey Kip, what's going on, man? I said, oh, I'm doing good, man. And we get talking. He said, hey, did you break in my car over the weekend and tune and play with it? Because back then, you had to go out and adjust the EQs for everyone. That was part of the tuning process. Go out and adjust their EQs, adjust their crossovers, and it makes it sound good. And some people come back every other weekend because after they have a few too many beverages, they alter the controls to a point where it doesn't sound good anymore. And I joked, I said, no, man. I said, he said, seriously, he said, there's nothing broke or wrong. He said, my system just sounds better. And I said, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, he says, I can't explain it. He said, it's just like the bass is tighter or it's a little deeper, or he says, I can't explain it, but he says, my system today sounds better than when I put the car away the other day. And I said, well, let me tell you what. I said, when I brought in the Kicker line, I said, one of the things they really taught me from them is that all speakers experience a break-in period. And once a driver, in particular a subwoofer, but it happens to all speakers, said, you're going to notice a shift in frequency response. You're going to notice on a Kicker driver that's going to sound tighter, it's going to sound a little bit deeper, it's going to sound a little bit richer or warmer. And of course, at that time, I just thought it was salesman BS. And so this was my first real-world experience with a customer who came in, and I went out and listened to the car, and he was right. The car just had a different sonic character to it. And so that was my first real-world experience that a driver that's broke in does have a different sound to it. Now, what I then found out through the years working with Kicker is that before I came along and worked directly for the company, is Kicker actually tests and listens to all their speakers post break-in, and that post break-in is our target, not brand new out of the box.
Correct.
So that room you saw that we call the destruct room, what's really important about that is when it comes to listening, we measure, we have all the tools, we have a Clipple, we have RTAs, analyzers, you name it, we can do this. And those are all great, but your eyeballs don't tell you how good something sounds. Your ears do. And so we do a break-in on these before we measure them, and then before, obviously, we listen to them. And we want to make sure that it sounds the way we want to sound after break-in. And that's something that we do in the entire development process. And I think it's one of the things that really sets us apart from a lot of other companies, because a lot of other companies don't even take that into account.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, you've got to break it in. The suspension wears in, it gets softer, the sound changes. So if you're trying to prove something acoustically, you want it to, have a good break-in on it. Because, after a guy buys a subwoofer, a couple weeks later, it breaks in and it sounds a little bit different.
It absolutely does. RVH, my kind of room. Mothra B17, what's the break-in period used on speakers and subs?
It's kind of subjective. It all depends on how hard you're playing it, but we typically recommend at least, it takes a little longer than 8 hours, but just as a rule of thumb, we like about 8 hours at a moderate volume, low frequency information to get the driver moving in free air, but don't overdrive it in free air. You don't have an acoustic suspension control in the thing, so be mindful of your power and your volume settings, but that's what we recommend.
You know, he's just trolling to get on the screen, so I'm going to give him his day. Next up, the restroom, bad taco day. It happens. You know, and it's funny you said, we did that, Steve, and we actually got a chance to spend a little bit of time talking with Jeff and Laura today. And Jeff was all about that. And the other thing is, once we get to a point that's broken, you know, during the development process, and we know that's what we're going to do, we do power testing. And Jeff told us today, and Stephen was, you know, we've said it here on the show before, he's like, no, it's pink noise for 100 hours. We run with RMS power rating with pink noise. It's 20 to 80 hertz, if I remember right.
Yeah, bandwidth limited.
Bandwidth limited.
Ported enclosure. So, you know, we're trying to give the woofer the worst case scenario. Tons of power because your bandwidth limited.
Right.
Ported enclosure because it's not going to move as far as it does in a sealed enclosure. So obviously the coil is going to get hotter. So we do the worst case scenario.
We'll do worst case scenario. And Drew Jones, Base Holiday Productions, thanks for being here tonight, man. Appreciate it. Good to see you. He was here. He did a tour of the place. And, of course, his comment here, we went into that room, and a woofer had been running for so long that the wood the woofer was attached to was hot. The wood. You know, we're serious about our testing here. And, you know, what's crazy about it, we know the testing we do to our drivers. There is a CTA standard for coming up with power ratings on woofers, and we think we learned that doesn't work for us, does it? It's not really real world.
Yeah, you know, customers treat them a little bit different than engineers do.
They do. So we actually come up with our own testing and power standard, and you know the abuse that we put them through. Customers blow up kicker speakers every day. We get them back. We see them back in warranty, and of course we sit around going, "How the heck did they blow that up?" And you know, it's constantly clipping an amplifier into square wave really hard all the time. That's hard on any speaker when you do that. Way too much power. Who knows what it is? I know there's a lot of guys out there, and they might make the comment in here that, oh, I run 3,000 watts on this, and I don't have any problem with it. Well, if you're running lots of power and you're running it clean, and you're giving your woofers a break every now and again, you're right. You can get away with that all day long. Dirty power clipping, that's hard on speakers. That's just hard. I'm looking through the comment section here to see if there's anything else to bring up. So while I do this, looking at comments, Ernie, will you go to the next video, please, sir? Because we got some great stuff here. So this room that we're going into, this is a lab 1. I often refer to this as the aftermarket lab. But this is where, if it is an amplifier, an electronic crossover, anything that runs on power, this is the lab where those products are developed, prototyped, spider modded, torn down, broke, put back together.
Yep.
You name it. It happens in this lab. And something that's cool about this lab, and there's another one, we got another video of the next lab next door, and we'll show you that one as well. What's cool about these rooms is...
That was our old Warhorse test rig right there.
That's the power supply
I want to
rig.
throw that in there.
No,
because
go
I
ahead.
figured people would like to know that.
No, and if I remember right, those are 350 amps each?
Yeah, or maybe 300. I think that's a 900 amp rack there.
So it's 900
somewhere in
amp.
there. It's a lot.
It's a lot of go juice.
Yes.
Of course, that's an oscilloscope and an AP filter. I mean, we use a lot of this gear in the development product. And you'll see, I think I spin the camera around, you'll see on one of the walls we get to, I mean, you'll see just enameled wire there. I mean, our guys will actually hand wind transformers. I mean, if they're trying to get an amplifier to meet a specific performance, if it's not doing what they want it to do, they'll just sit there and wind up their own transformer and stick it in.
Just like we make our own parts for acoustics, you know, they often do the same.
They often do the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, and this is a big shout out to Big D, because I know he tried to get into one. Here's the inside of a KX amplifier. This is actually an 804. So I actually thought they had one on the bench. They were doing some stuff on it. So I actually took a close up in there, but that's an inside, very clean as you can see. That's an 800 KX 800.4 amplifier. Lots of stuff. The cool part is there's a lot of stuff going on these tables right now that are future products that I can't tell you about. But they're in such a disarray, you don't even know what they are anyway.
That's right. It's a circuit board. Yeah.
There's a circuit board, there's this, there's that, but there's products there that I can't even talk about right now, but they're there. And so this gives you an idea. There's that shelving. You can see some of the wire maybe through there. There's another AP and an O-scope there, the power supplies. But what's cool about this room is when you're working on anything like circuit board, electronic, transistors, FETs, you name it, the last thing you want to do is static shock the boards with electricity, because you'll damage a FET, you'll damage a microcontroller. And what's important about that is, okay, so I got a board, I set it down on the table, I hook it up to all my test gear, and I do a test, and I do some measurements. Are those tests and measurements on a good board or a damaged board? and we want to make sure that it's not a damaged board. And if you've ever seen the movies where they're in a room and they're wearing the white suits and the hats and stuff, a clean room environment, you don't need that when you're working on boards like this, but static electricity is your enemy. So that room, what's really cool about it is the flooring system, the glue, and everything that's in there is a special system that when you walk into that room, if you have static electricity on you, it's literally pulled off you to earth ground. So the tables are sitting in that room. If you walk in that room, you are perfectly safe. You can walk in and any static electricity is pulled. Hey, there's Colin with a K. How you doing, sir? If you're watching the show, I told Colin we were coming in and said, just ignore me. He's actually working on some stuff. He's actually building a test rig for something back in the OE bay. But this is the other room. We have 2 of these rooms where things happen. They do a lot of OE radios, marine radios. There's a lot of stuff that happens in this lab. It's not that they can't do different things in both the labs. It's just one lab kind of gets dedicated to one part of our business and the other gets dedicated to the other side. And the same thing you can see, we've got lots of gear, lots of equipment here, same type of grounding system on the floor so our guys can touch and handle boards without causing any issue or problems. And when it comes to the whole development process, these guys are going to be working on whether it's an EV, a DV, or even a PV, they'll work on all these 3 stages of our product development will happen in these rooms, correct, Aaron?
Same sampling process throughout all of our divisions, whether it's 12-volt, car, marine, lifestyle, whatever it is.
Whatever it is, that same thing goes through that whole process. There used to be called I love that room. I'm just looking for a comment here. So Ernie, come back to us for a second. If you will, move on to the next video, kind sir, if you will, please. Oh yeah, here we go. As we're going into this room, Hi-Fi Vegas shout out, he's talking about the destruct room. He says that room gives me the heebie-jeebies. What's interesting about that room, it's padded down so well, if you go in there with nothing playing and close the door, you can actually hear your heartbeat.
Yeah, it's pretty quiet. It's not an anechoic chamber because it's coupled to the floor, but it's pretty quiet.
It's pretty quiet and it's crazy. So that's across the hallway. Now the room we're walking into now, and this is where you spend a lot of your time.
Yeah.
We do not have an anechoic chamber here at Kicker. It takes a whole lot of real estate in both an X-axis, a Y-axis, and a Z-axis if you're going to build an anechoic chamber. It has to be very wide, very long, and very deep. So
isolated.
And isolated.
From the ground even.
Even from the ground, yeah. If our friends from Canada, you have it made. The government built you an anechoic chamber, and if you're a Canadian manufacturer, you get to use it for free.
Oh, that's cool.
That's cool. So PSB and other companies up there that make home speakers, they get a free anechoic chamber. But this is literally the next best thing, and it was pretty cool. I took Steven in the room, and I explained the room to him, and I even used my own voice to show him how the room works, and he was pretty floored at what it does. And we call this, it depends on whether you're a glass half empty or a glass half full kind of guy. This is called a half dead or a half live room. And what it does is, everything you see, the odd shapes you see on the wall are there to help control bass energy. There's bass traps. What we're trying to do is we don't want bass waves to come back and land on top of themselves at the listening or measurement position. We don't want there to be more bass measured than there really is, and we don't want to listen to a whole either. We want to just listen to the speaker. As you can see, we use Kicker car audio amps in this room for testing. We've got a whole rack of Astrons, and we use car amplifiers for all this testing we do in here. And this room is designed so that we can either measure with a microphone or listen with our own ears to a speaker or a cabinet or a bullfrog or whatever you want to listen to in this room. And you're just listening to the product and not the room. You don't get the late reflection. You don't get the early reflection. We're controlling that standing energy so you don't get a false sense of how much bass there is. And that's really what this room is designed for. And I say this, and I mean it sincerely, of all the rooms that are in this building, I think that room is probably one of the most important rooms here because it's where you and Steve, and I've been blessed to be on a few of those things where we test and listen to stuff, and it's where we go in and we do this crazy thing that's called listen to the product. And when we listen to those things in that room, we're evaluating the product, and we're evaluating it from a lot of standpoints. Is this musical? Does a drum sound like that? Does a guitar sound like that? Is that reproducing the male vocal or the female vocal properly or anything? And a story I like to share with people is if you've ever been to a restaurant, you're walking up to the restaurant and you smell, God, that steak smells good. This is going to be a good steak. And then you walk into the restaurant and as you're walking back to your table, you hear the sizzle because they're cooking it back. Oh God, that's going to be a good steak. And they sit you down at your table, and then they come out with your order and you see it and it's got the grill marks on it and the fat on the side is just sizzling. You're, oh, it sounds good. It looks good. It's gonna be so amazing. And then you hack through it with your knife and put it in your mouth, and it's one of the hardest, toughest, no flavor steaks you've ever had. That's what I like to say that we do here when it comes to actually doing the listening test is just because something looks good doesn't mean it sounds good. And we have all these wonderful tools, and you have to have them to find the anomalies or the problems so that you can fix them. But the last thing you want to do is let an RTA or a spectrum plot or a Clipple or any of those tools tell you how a product should sound. The best thing to tell you how a product should sound is what, Aaron?
Your ears.
Your ears.
I mean, we can have targets that we shoot for, you know, but ultimately, how does it sound to your ear?
And there's lots of times where, you know, we'll go in and we'll listen to something and we might hear something, and you do become an educated listener over time. It's like you can pick out, okay, this is a little throaty here, it's a little nasally here, I think it's around this frequency band. You pick up those skills as you do all this. But what's really cool about the tools is if you listen to something and it doesn't sound pleasant or pleasing or accurate, then the tools are what you use to go in and find the problems at a finer detail level. Don't focus on looking at an RTA and go, oh, this speaker's going to sound terrible.
Right.
It's the same way with cars. I've listened to a lot of full car audio done systems, and before I listened to the car, I saw its RTA, and I'm like, oh, this car's going to sound awesome. And I get in and go, well, this is the most bland, generic thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
And then other cars I look at and go, man, it's not real smooth here. It doesn't look like it has a lot of mid bass. And then you get in the car and it's just, and sounds great. And it's like, don't let the tools dictate to you something sounds good. It either sounds good or it doesn't. And if it doesn't, use the tools to find the problem.
That's right.
And I think that's one of the most critical things that we do here is we got guys like, you know, Steve, the founder of the company, who obviously knows what he's listening to. He's training and bringing up young bucks like this to do what he does, and you've got a wonderful ear. I mean that sincerely.
Well,
you know what you're doing.
Thank you.
And when it comes to product development, I mean, some products that you guys out there may know that this cat's had a big hand in developing is the QB8. The little extruded aluminum closure that has the Q 8-inch driver on one side and the passive radiator on the other. That was your baby.
Yeah, man, that was a fun project. That was really the first project that we did where I got familiar with the vacuum former and really started doing some serious prototyping. But yeah, it was a really fun project. And
I didn't think about it, but I wish we'd have brought in some of the Frankenstein versions of that you created to get to that final product.
Yeah, I thought about it, but they're kind of clunky.
Well, they are. They are clunky, but that whole process to develop that, I mean, back when you were doing that, I mean, I know you spent a lot of time, because Ernie has an SQ vehicle, and you spent a lot of time with those clunky prototypes in his car, evaluating it to come, okay, let's change this, let's do this, let's change that.
Yeah.
And what's come out of that is a very compact 8-inch enclosure that for musicality in a car, it tucks away, it doesn't take up a lot of room, and it sounds great.
Yeah, and it's pretty substantial bass for its size, and that was really the goal. We kind of, you know, took cues from what these guys are doing in home audio with these tiny enclosures, using a passive radiator, putting gobs of power on it. But instead, we've got a transfer function in a vehicle, so we don't need the gobs of power in the DSP to fill a big room. So
there you
we've
go.
got the small cabinet, the sub, the passive radiator, and a good balance, and things just seem to work.
It does. Jason, I'm scrolling through the comments here trying to look at this while Aaron's answering these great questions for you guys. But Jason, TFH Miller, it'll make you sick. You can hear everything in your body after a few minutes. That's the fact. Yeah. That's what that destruct room will do to you. It's a little odd. It does do that room.
Yeah, it's
Acoustical art, I can't put your comment on screen, but it's funny. That's a good one. Hey, Ernie, if you don't mind, roll me the next video, please, sir. Thank you so much. So what we're doing here, a lot of people know, you know, we research, we design, we prototype new stuff here, but we do global manufacturing. We source parts, we source sub-assemblies, and we source finalized products from many places across the world. And so we do QA and QC at the time of manufacturing at all of our vendors who build for us. But then we also do QA QC again here in Stillwater, Oklahoma. And I think the QA QC process is another way that we make sure that after we've done everything on the development side of the house to get a product where we like it and think it's going to be something people will enjoy, we make sure that, and it's as simple as this, I mean, we need to bring it in and we need to sample so many of them. We need to know, did the owner's manual get in the box? Are the screws in there? Did the Allen key for the amplifier make it? If it comes with a bass knob, is there a bass knob in the box? Is the amp in the box? Is there a circuit board in the amp? You know, it could be silly things like that, but you know, on top of the basics that go into the box, We also want to put that amplifier on a bench, and we want to make sure that it makes the power we say it's going to make. We also want to make sure it's clean. It's passing the THD test that we certify. It's make sure that common mode noise reduction, which is a CMR, that has to do with how well the amplifier can reject noise that comes in on its input signal path, because we do use a differential. People call it balanced. It's kind of okay to call it that, but it's really differential inputs. We test that. We test THD. We test all those things.
Signal to noise.
Signal noise. Our amplifiers, they have to do more than just make rated power. They got to do it to our standard, which is a very clean, transparent, no noise amplifier. And that lab we just showed you there, that's actually, we call it Wade's lab because that's where Wade is. And he tests those. And the cool part about it is we do have warehouses all around the world, but once we ship to a warehouse, we might do a run of this particular amplifier, and it may go to a couple different warehouses, but until we do another QA, QC check here in Stillwater, no one's allowed to ship those amplifiers. If there's a problem in the batch we have here, there's probably a problem in all of them. If there's not a problem in the batch we have here, then they're all probably pretty good.
Correct.
Do you agree with that statement? I mean,
Definitely. And either way, you know, we're still testing a percentage of
Correct.
that run. And that's the goal.
And if, as we're testing, and Wade will tell you this, I mean, he's got numbers, and you're going to ask me the numbers, I'm going to say I don't know because I don't know what the number is, but whatever percentage he's supposed to pull out of a batch and test, and it's from random pallets, if he has so many that have a problem or don't pass, he's got to go pull another whole batch of them out and test those. And if they see a pattern where it's still showing that, then we know we got a problem and we go back.
Yep.
We've had to totally rework amplifiers sometimes because of a problem.
Sure.
But we go to that extra effort because we want to make sure that you purchase a Kicker product, you have a great first time out of the box experience. Not just in, you know, this is all great that we can develop and do things like this, but we want to make sure that at the end of the day, when you get it in your hands, all the parts are there, it's a fully functional amplifier, and it works the way you want it to.
And if you do have a problem, our warranty is awesome.
Yeah, I'll go out on a limb. I know we cover stuff we should never cover. we have a warranty that is second to none in this industry.
Yeah.
I hate to toot our own horn, but that's a fact. We have an industry warranty that's second to none. So Ernie, throw me the next video up on the screen, because now you've played them out of the order I had, and I don't even know where we're at. So let's go to the next one. This, I'm catching Colin doing work, so quick, catch him. This is the same thing we just saw. That was the lab where Wade works on our aftermarket amplifiers and other things in there a lot. This is the same type of lab, but this is kind of dedicated to the OE development side. So the 4.1, the 8-channel amp, our powered woofer enclosures that we do for Ford. You're going to ask me to get down through the whole list. You probably know more than I do, and I'm going to fail. But we do a lot of OE projects, and this is a room where we do the same type of testing and validation that you see on the aftermarket side. It's actually it's almost chicken before the egg, and I want your opinion on this. The standards for us to do on the OE side are way more stringent than what most companies see on the aftermarket side. But I think with what we've done on the OE side and what we have, I want to say learned and also been told we have to do to meet standards, I think has made us extremely good on the aftermarket side.
Well, yeah, it taught us where to improve efficiencies, that where in OEM products we have to have, you know, those efficiencies in place, whether it's current draw, whatever the case may be. Where in aftermarket we don't necessarily have to, but it gives us the opportunity to make that product in aftermarket better. So.
Exactly. So that's what goes on in this room. I got some close-up shots there. That's actually, it was the board that Colin was working on the previous lab. It's a resistor board. It's got multiple inputs, so he's obviously making some kind of a test board or jig, it looks like, for the 4.1 amplifier. What it looks like he's making. And that's what they do is we have engineers, you know, of course we design all this stuff, but then they design the test gear, they design the test parameters, the batches, if you want to call them, where they can automatically run. So a test guy, he all he has to know is how to hook it up properly and hit the go button, and then the AP runs through everything and tells them what they need to know.
Exactly.
I don't think I didn't get video of it, but I did show, you know, Steve, when we wandered back to the back, because he was so focused on the OEM side of the thing, I showed him where, you know, they take every single speaker on the OE side and it goes into that test jig and it does that ping and sweep test on it, and it tells you if there's rub, buzz, not the right frequency response, and if it's a bad speaker, it doesn't pass. I mean, you can look at it and be fully functional and works, but if it doesn't pass the full frequency response test, it gets red tagged.
That's right.
Which means we don't use it.
Yep.
So Ernie, go ahead to the next video if you will, sir. That was it? I thought I had one more. Well, I guess I don't have one more. So I'm looking here. Sandy, do you have any comments you want to throw up on there?
They want to know how you come up with RMS.
Want to know how we come up with RMS? Okay. I kind of alluded to it a little bit. There is a CEA/CTA standard. And if I go back and just use our own personal experience as the template for us, we went from making a woofer line that one year was rated at 400 watts RMS, and then magically the next year, the same woofer we came out with was rated 800 watts RMS. You know exactly what I'm talking about. And it's because this CEA/CTA standard that, and our engineers downloaded, used it, tested, they're coming back and going, well, these are 1,200 watt subwoofers. These are 1,600 watt subwoofers. According to this test standard, we're way underrating our speakers. We can put bigger numbers on these. And of course, we're all sitting here going, we're like, whoa, hold on. I don't think that's, well, let's just double it.
Well, when your test for a subwoofer rolls the bottom end off, it's probably going to make it handle quite a bit more power.
Not a very good test, is it? And that's one of the things in the criteria in that CEA/CTA test is it actually takes away some low frequency in the testing, which I don't know many people buy a subwoofer to not play the low frequency.
Right.
So we actually, we took a beating pretty hard that product cycle. We learned our lesson that we were not going to use the CEA/CTA testing standard on subwoofers because it doesn't give us a realistic number.
No.
And so then people asked us after we did that, so, well, then how'd you rate your speakers before? And I jokingly go like this.
Like most manufacturers rate their speakers.
It's really what it boiled down to. Our previous rating system was based on experience. Steve Irby and the guys that worked here and that, it was just conventional wisdom. If you got a 1-inch voice coil and it's this and it's doing that, this is about what the thermal capacity of that
That's
driver
what I was
is.
going to say. Coil size helps to dictate quite a bit.
Exactly. So before, we really just based it on what was common sense. And then we did the year with those rating systems and we learned from that. So then we backed out.
We immediately changed.
We immediately changed. So what we did is, and I know you were involved in this, we came up with a testing methodology for subwoofers. And basically, we start off at 50 watts, okay, thank you very much. Thanks, Ernie, I appreciate that. We basically start off at 50 watts, play it for 30 minutes. Things are good, you can throw another 50 watts into it and play it for another 30 minutes back to back.
That's what we did do. And we would do that and we would bump it up 50 watts or 100 watts or whatever it was every 30 minutes until the thing failed. And then we would determine based on data on a few samples where we should rate it. But now, as Clip alluded to earlier, we have the Clipple.
Yes.
We can actually measure temperature of the voice coil as it's operating. We could use that with limited pink noise, put it in a ported box, put the driver in the worst case scenario, pick a set amount of power and run the driver and see what it does on its thermal curve.
And actually see what happens.
Yeah.
And the thing about that, and this would probably be another show all on its own, but let me try to simplify this for you guys the best way I can just for this show since you brought that question up. Understand RMS is how you calculate watts from a voltage measurement. It doesn't mean that's what the speaker's rated. RMS is not a rating for a speaker. Saying 300 watts RMS means you're using the root mean square formula to calculate that wattage number, and we've determined that this speaker will handle 300 watts RMS. Please do not think that RMS ever means anything about, well, that's what a speaker will handle. RMS is simply the way you measure power. It's a formula.
Sure. It's kind of become just terminology that we use for a driver's continuous power or recommended power rating.
This is going to be deep for you guys. I could take an amplifier and I could rate it at 1% distortion at 300 watts RMS, and then I could tell you that at 10% distortion, this amplifier is 550 watts RMS, or I could run it out to 40% distortion, which is total garbage, and I could tell you it's 775 watts RMS. Whoa, it's 40% distortion. Do not confuse RMS with anything that has to do with clean power out of an amplifier or what a speaker is rated. RMS is just the way you calculate the power rating. Has nothing to do with clean, has nothing to do with speaker limitations. It's simply how you calculate power. And if that interests you guys, we can certainly get into it. It's a full show. We can do calculations, show you those things. So I don't want to oversimplify it too much, but just trust me when I tell you this. RMS doesn't mean clean. RMS doesn't mean a speaker limit. It's just how you calculate that number that's in front of the word RMS. So keep that in mind. So hopefully that answers that question. Anything else, Bill? I like Bill. He's just short. Caleb Yost. I've been running my L5 overpowered for 4 years now, still going strong.
That means you've got good, clean power.
You know, Aaron and I come from the exact same, I'll jokingly say, we're brothers from a different mother. Because when it comes to power, I know he feels the same way I do about it. I would much rather have way more power on tap in my amplifier than my speaker can handle and never ever clip it and never get into that point. I want to reach the physical limitation of my speaker with clean power. I don't want to reach the physical limitation of my amplifier into my speaker, because guys, when you run an amplifier, I know it's fun to joke about and talk about clipping and all gains to the right.
I mean, that's clip.
Like
that's clip right there.
Right here. I've earned the title. But when you clip an amplifier, and the harder you clip it, you get into you'll start approaching a square wave scenario, and that is tons of power being thrown in that speaker voice coil at its worst time, when it's fully extended out and there's nothing to absorb the heat from that voice coil, and when it's slammed all the way back, when there's something to absorb it, but it's pushed all the way back, and you're dumping all of that square wave energy into that coil.
More power over a little bit more time.
Yeah, so if you're using clean power and you're not clipping, it is not uncommon to see people say, and about any speaker, not just a kicker driver, it's a well-built speaker, go, oh, I run 3 times, I run 4 times rated. Yeah, if you're not clipping and you understand how to use a volume knob, you're absolutely capable of doing that.
Yep.
And if my subwoofer is rated for 500 watts, I like to have 1,000 watts on tap.
Now, eventually you can get yourself in a situation where you have enough clean power to overheat the voice coil. But, yeah. I mean, you're going to be hitting the limitation of the woofer first. So,
yeah. If you've got enough clean power that you're...
The mechanical limitation of the woofer, I should say.
I would, well, man, that's a tough one because it depends on the design of the speaker. But I would think typically, if you got enough clean power to get the woofer to its mechanical limits, you're probably going to hear that before you burn the coil.
Get it too hot. That was my point.
That what you're thinking?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
And that, you know, because even, I mean, if all the tolerances are built to a subwoofer, man, at some point you're probably going to hit that coil on the back plate. You're going to bottom that spider out. You're going to snap the surround. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think you're going to hear a lot of those physical things first before you're going to overheat a voice coil from clean power.
Totally.
You think so?
Definitely. Unless it's in your trunk. I mean, there's those variables.
Trunk or bandpass enclosure.
Is correct.
Bandpass enclosures mask all that mechanical noise.
And if you're masking the mechanical noise and you can't hear the limitation, that's when you get into trouble.
I agree with that completely, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
But yeah, typically, I mean, with a little bit extra power, if you can overpower a little bit, if you're keeping it clean, you're not driving it into mechanical distortion, you're good.
Blah, 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 did it bump dough? Yeah, wait here, Jeremy B. Yeah. You want me to tell them what a clipple is? Yeah. Here, hold on. Joshua Schlesinger. How you doing, Joshua? Thanks for watching the show tonight, man. Can you support / tech support OE equipment can you tech support if it's OE equipment? Ooh, that's a good question. If it's an OE system that's from Kicker, and that's the thing, there are some companies that do just they don't make the gear, but their name's on the equipment in the car. If you have a system that's OE and it says Kicker on it, it's a system we designed here in-house.
Yes.
Your warranty and everything is going to be handled through the car dealer, because anything that comes from Kicker OE carries the same warranty as the car. So if you get a Kicker OE system installed in your car at the OE level, it carries a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty. So on anything for warranty issue, you're going to want to go back to the dealer where you bought the car. That's where you're going to get your warranty support. If you have questions about the product, yeah, you can call Kicker. We can tell you, what the system's made of. We can tell you about the amplifier. The OE systems, there's nothing to adjust. I mean, it's a DSP amplifier, but it's set by us and it's fixed. You can't change it.
Right.
But if you have questions about that, the best course of action, if you have any question about a Kicker product, is to always reach out. It's support@kicker.com. That'll get you into the email system, and our guys try to answer any email within 24 hours. So if you're an email kind of guy, reach out through email. And we still have a lady or guy that answers the phone live every day, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Central Time here in Oklahoma. She'll answer, or he'll answer the phone, ask what you need, and we can direct you to customer support, tech support. And those guys, you've met a couple of the guys, they were here on the show. We've got Travis, we've got Keyshawn, we've got Jacob, Peter, and I'm missing
Brett.
One. And Brett. And those guys, they've got all the tools at their disposal. They can answer questions. They can do Kicker box designs for you. Man, reach out. It's 800-256-0808. And we need to add that as probably something we can scroll on the screen for you guys. But that's our 800 number. Man, just give us a call. We love to talk to you and answer any questions we can. help you with any design we can. And if they don't have the answer, the cool part is they have a direct pipeline down to R&D, and they can find the answer. I mean, R&D is just down the street from. So if they may not have the answer you want or need right that second, they can get your information, they can go find the answer, and they can get back with you. So use that resource. That's what we're here for. We love having these guys here so they can help you with that. And then a Clipple, and it's actually spelled with a K, not a C, but that's okay because I'm spelled with a K, not a C either. But a Clipple is a measurement device, and unfortunately, Ernie said that the video was corrupted. So I will shoot another video of the Clipple, and we will have it on next Tuesday's show, and we'll touch on that briefly and show you. But to kind of describe to you what it is, and that's why I shot the video, because I wanted you to be here to talk about it. Maybe we'll get you back on for a brief moment and talk about that.
Yeah.
But a Clipple, it's a jig that is actually bolted to the floor so that the speaker cannot move. It's a very high-end looking jig that holds the speaker, and then you put a dot on the speaker cone, and that just helps the laser as far as it being more accurate for its reading. And then there's a calibrated, I think just the laser module is like 10 grand.
It's pretty expensive.
It's pretty expensive. And that laser, through measuring the front and then through the speaker leads that go back through the Clipple device that's hooked to a computer, so there's an interface and there's software and there's computer, we can run a speaker through any kind of testing we want. We can find out any teal small parameter. We can tell you what the X-max of the driver is. We can look at the curve and see, is it a symmetrical X-max curve? Is it
the BL curve.
the BL curve? We can look at
KMS
that.
curve.
KMS curve. There are things that we can look at on a Clipple that honestly you guys don't even see as a parameter in most of these box design programs.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's basically just all the mechanical parameters of the driver. Like Kip said, even stuff that you guys don't see, because there's a whole lot of parameters that you guys don't need in order to do your box design stuff. So typically manufacturers just print those parameters, but it measures all the parameters of the drivers and lets us know, if we hit the target.
That's right. So we will go out, according to Andy McGill. We're gonna get a Kipple, not a Clipple. I like that, Andy. Thanks. I appreciate that, brother. That is awesome. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed tonight's episode talking about the development process on really any kicker product we go through. It goes through those steps. It goes through that same process. We have tools here in house, obviously. Oh, wait, hold here. Let me ask a question here. Let's bring this one up. Wait, oh, wrong one. If you, I'm trying. Blah 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 blah. Kipping clothes, using the wrong chat. Blah. Okay, that's not. It just went by and I just missed it. Oh, here it is. John D. How do you test the marine product? As far as power handling, as far as specs, same way we test and design any car product.
But we do some salt fog testing and all
There you
that
go.
kind of stuff for saltwater corrosion, and
Correct.
it has to meet a certain standard. I don't know exactly what the acronym is for it.
ASTM, something, something,
But
something.
yes, we do send it through those paces.
Yeah, there is. So, but as far as, the frequency response, the power handling, those kind of things, we do it the same way we do anything else. But as far as the speaker itself, like if you take any of the subwoofers, any of the coax speakers that are designed for the marine side, like all the metal parts are plated, and they're plated to prevent corrosion as far as from salt water or fresh water. So all the metal parts are plated. The baskets themselves are a polycarbonate blend. There's drainage holes that are built into them because it's in a boat, it's going to get exposed to water. So they're designed to drain out and keep as much of that water away from it as possible. We design our products on the acoustic side for marine to handle the marine environment the best we know how.
Sealing spiders.
Sealing spiders.
If it's a coax.
There you go, sealing spiders. So there is a different testing criteria, and a lot of it is salt spray and fog. We test for those three, and of course temperature. That's the other one that we go through on those. So because it is a different environment on a boat when you bring those into the consideration. And on the amplifier side, even though you might look at a KX car amplifier and then look at a KX MA marine amplifier and they look like the same chassis, just different color lighting system, it goes a little bit deeper than that. And that number one, the circuit boards on all the marine amplifiers are conformal coated, so that keeps moisture away from the components on there. Number two, the door that covers the controls is gasketed, so when it's sealed up and tightened down, it keeps water from intruding into there. And then number three, and this is a big one because this is actually a Coast Guard standard, is you can't just take wire in a marine amplifier and jab it into a typical block and run the set screw down through the wire, because the vibration in a boat is intense and it will start breaking the strands of copper over time. Then it gets loosey-loosey, sparky-sparky, and if you're in a boat that has an area where gas fumes or something can build up, that leads to what we call an explosion, and that's not a good thing.
Yeah, don't Don't mount your amp in the engine compartment unless you absolutely have
Don't
to.
do that. But we actually use a different terminal block system. Even though you look at them, they look the same. Look inside of them, and it's actually a clamping bar type system on the marine amplifier so that they don't have the screw actually going through the copper wire.
Right.
So there are, when you talk about marine amps, there are 3 key areas that make those amplifiers different than a regular car amplifier. So hopefully that answers your question, John. If you have any more, please throw them into the feed. We'd love to see those. Even though it's not here during the live, if you have any questions, throw it in the feed. Our guys will try to answer those. If you have a specific kicker question, you can always reach out, like I said, support@kicker.com or 800-256-0808. Get you right into the phone system. So with that said, I'm looking at the clock. We're right up on our time here. I think we need to announce some winners, don't you think?
Yeah.
Let's do it. You know the role. You know what we do. Let's do number 3. Bill, you got winners? Yeah. Let's see number 3. Winner number 3 is Ben B from Stillwater.
Oh, wow.
Hey.
How about that?
So Ben
Stillwater,
B,
Minnesota, maybe?
Is it Oklahoma?
There's
Is it
a Stillwater, New York, I think, too.
There's a lot of Stillwater.
Yeah.
Well, wherever you're at, Ben B, we would love for it to be Stillwater, Oklahoma. It'd be our first local winner, I think. But hey, congratulations, Ben B. Tonight, our third place prize, you're going to get a set of the EB300 earbuds. You're going to get a Kicker Unmasked gray shirt that you kind of see over my shoulder and Aaron there in the middle in the background. And we're going to hook you up with a couple of Kicker koozies so you can keep whatever favorite beverage you've got nice and cold as you're watching this show or doing anything else you enjoy. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Ben B from Stillwater. Bill, who's number 2? Number 2 is Matt G from Texas. So Matt G from Texas, you're getting the same treatment package as our third place winner. You're going to get a pair of those koozies. You're going to get a set of those EB300 earbuds. And last but not least, you're going to get a Kicker shirt from the Unmasked Live Weekly Studio. Thank you for doing that. And that brings us to our number 1 prize winner tonight. And you're going to get the shirt, you're going to get the koozies, and you're going to get tonight a set of our Cush NC. That's our Bluetooth noise-canceling headphones. We're throwing those in for tonight's prize, and that's a good prize.
Yeah, it's a nice set of headphones.
That's a great set of headphones. Another product that we developed here right in the house.
Yeah. You were in on a lot of those listening sessions.
I actually
was.
That was. We did a lot of listening sessions on that, and I'm really proud of how that product turned out. I think it's a great sounding headphone.
It really is.
So with that said, Bill, give us our grand prize winner tonight. Tonight's grand prize winner is Sean H. from Kansas. Sean, congratulations to you, sir. You're our grand prize winner tonight. For all of our winners in tonight's contest, you can reach out directly if you like to social@kicker.com. That'll put you right into Bill Frog's inbox, or he will be emailing you tomorrow letting you know the winner, and you can respond to that. Either way, if you reach out or you get the email from Bill, things we need from you. We need your actual shipping address, and it cannot be a P.O. box. Sorry, we cannot ship to a P.O. box. We do need a phone number to contact you. Doesn't matter how we send it, whether it's UPS, USPS, FedEx, DHL, carrier pigeon, we have to have a phone number to give them, because if they can't get to your address, can't find you, or need to arrange for you to pick it up at the drop-off point, their main store hub or wherever they're at, they got to be able to contact you. So we do need your phone number, and sincere about this. We don't share it with anyone for marketing purposes. It's just so we can put it on the shipping information. And then we know we ask you for the size of your shirt in the entry of the contest. Please do us a favor, confirm your shirt size in that email. We just want to make sure as you're hurrying up to get that entry done and come back to the show that you didn't hit schmedium, because no one wants to wear a schmedium. If you see me in a schmedium, it doesn't look good. Don't get a schmedium. So that said, that's our 3 winners for tonight. That's the instructions on how to get your prize. We do run those for 7 days, so please, when you get the email, reach back out to Bill so we can get your prize to you. We run 7 days on those contests. If you don't claim your prize, we pull another winner, because we want to get stuff in people's hands. So with that said, I'd like to bring back on, while you're here, just stay here. Stephen, would you call him back? Yeah, I know, I'm going to embarrass you. Come on over. Sir, congratulations and thank you. I hope you enjoyed your seminar over there with Mr. Mark Elders, and thank you for being here on the show
Well, it
tonight.
was nice meeting everybody, and thank you, Kicker, and everybody here, to bringing me out here, I guess.
It was a good time. We certainly appreciate getting real people like you winning contests, get to come over and interface with us, get to hang out with us, have dinner, have a good time. It was a pleasure meeting you, and the contest is rigged. I look forward to seeing you here again.
That's what I hope. All right.
So as always, tonight's show, this is Kip Litzy, your host for the show. Joining me tonight is Mr. Aaron Surratt, or as we like to call him, the Rat from R&D. Behind the camera, we got Mr. Tim doing his duty on camera duty. Back as always, Ernie on the main switcher console. We got Bill Frog handling social media. And tonight, since JW is out at the event at Ocean City Jeep Week, we got the lovely Sandy joining us, doing his duty, answering out those questions, making sure you guys are getting taken care of in StreamYard, Facebook, and YouTube. As always, it's our pleasure to be representing the 200-plus employees here at Stillwater Designs and Audio, right here in Stillwater, Oklahoma, making great sounding products for you every day. It's fun and we enjoy it. Have a great week. Enjoy your weekend. Be safe. Enjoy your cold beverages. And we will see you next Tuesday. Have a good one, everyone. Good night.